He had everything, until his daughter lost the will to live. And the only person who could save her? A janitor with nothing but heartbreak and a promise. Asterisk, he was a man who'd conquered life on his own terms. The kind whose signature could change markets and whose silence could terrify boardrooms. CEO of one of the most influential companies in the country, Arthur Raines didn't believe in failure until failure came, not in a quarterly report, but in a phone call that shattered him in a single breath. His daughter, Ava, 9 years old, curious-eyed, laughter like bells, was in a car that was struck by a drunk driver. The crash broke her spine, shattered her mobility, and, most cruelly, took away the fire in her eyes. Asterisk, she was alive, but not living. Completely paralyzed from the neck down. For a man used to solving problems with money, there was nothing more paralyzing than his own helplessness. Arthur emptied his fortune into hope. The best surgeons, robotic therapies, neural interfaces. But Ava barely responded. Her condition was static. Her spirit, worst, no laughter. No tears. No will. Just silence, until the night janitor clocked in. Asterisk, no one paid attention to him. And that suited Daniel fine. His job wasn't to be noticed. But as he passed room 309 each night, the one with the girl who never moved, he felt something. Not pity. Recognition. You see, Daniel had lost his own daughter to leukemia 3 years earlier. Not for lack of love, but for lack of money. Insurance ran out. Options dried up. And just like that, she was gone. Since then, he'd lived like a ghost. Sweeping, mopping, existing, but Ava reminded him. Not of her face, but her stillness. The kind that comes when someone's given up, not because they want to die, but because they no longer believe anyone's coming to save them. And that night, instead of walking past room 309, Daniel stepped inside. Asterisk, he never expected a reaction. But slowly, night after night, something changed. First, Ava's eyes began to follow him. Then, her breathing grew more rhythmic when he was near. Then, one night, a single tear rolled down her cheek when he left. Asterisk, Daniel never talked about his past. He just sat, told stories, played soft melodies from his phone. He would take her hand, even if it couldn't grip, and dip a brush in watercolors. He moved her fingers slowly, as if painting could teach her body how to feel again. It started as his therapy. But then, one day, she twitched her finger. On her own, the therapists were stunned. Arthur was skeptical, but they ran tests. Ava's brain was forming new connections. Neurologists called it nonlinear recovery. Daniel called it something else. Love. Asterisk, the billionaire who built machines that could learn, had never realized that human healing often begins not with science, but with someone simply not giving up. Arthur finally asked Daniel why he kept coming. Daniel looked him in the eye and said, "Because someone once gave up on my daughter. And I promised myself I'd never let that happen again. Not if I had the chance to help someone else." Asterisk, not because of a breakthrough drug, not because of a billion-dollar device, but because a janitor, broken by grief, chose not to look away. Davis. Recovery was far from over. She would still need surgeries, years of therapy. But her will had returned. She painted daily now, each stroke a whisper of defiance against despair. Asterisk, the media eventually found out. Headlines called it a miracle. They praised Arthur's funding, the hospital's tech. Few mentioned Daniel. He preferred it that way. But in room 309, every inch of progress was written in invisible ink only 2 people could read. A grieving father's promise, and a little girl's return to life. Because sometimes, the most powerful words are never spoken. They're painted, whispered, and carried silently through the halls of loss. And sometimes, it takes a man with nothing, no medals, no money, no future, to give someone else everything they've lost.